Throughout their time in the ring, Jeff has typically been seen as the bigger solo star in the eyes of many, more decorated and more popular. However, to others, Matt has always been the better brother in his own right. Based off of what, you ask? Well... Thank you so much for the support over on Patreon, Dakari Garmin. Before we begin, allow me to remind everyone that there's a brand new tier system over on Patreon where you get to vote on the content of this channel. Since you're giving so much support, I figure you should have a say in what goes on around here. And there are polls right now that you could vote on, but they only last till the end of the month. So if you're already a Patreon supporter or you want to become one, sign up right now so you could be part of the action. But now, let's get into the episode. Okay, let's start by saying that this video is not declaring which brother is superior overall, or that one necessarily is to begin with. So just know that before any of you start geek rage firing in the comments section. This video is simply looking at 7 very specific things that I personally feel Matt has over his brother Jeff. I'm not saying that Jeff is bad, I'm not saying that Jeff doesn't have things over Matt too, and I'm definitely not looking to start a fight. So if you're a fan of Jeff Hardy, just enhance your comment and remember that you don't have to think only in extremes, even if we're dealing with Team Extreme. Alright, so with that out the way, let's get into the list. Mic work. People often forget that there is a difference between charisma and mic skills. And while Jeff is no doubt the charismatic enigma, he manages to mostly draw in fans without needing to use his words. But when he actually does have time to talk, it's not always the smoothest of work for Jeff, as he can sound a little flat and wooden at times. Matt, on the other hand, appears to have more confidence behind the microphone, and he has far better range, whether it's maniacal laughter or playing a sophisticated millionaire. But while we're on the subject of Matt's range, creative capacity. While Jeff has had creative endeavors outside the ring, like music, when it comes to creativity in a wrestling capacity, Matt is definitely the more creative of the two. While Matt may not always be the sole inventor of everything that he does on screen, and Jeff does have his abilities as a creative force in the ring too, Matt's character creations and his character portrayals, like the wonderful time-traveling exploits of Broken Matt, or the mustard-hating version 1, or being big money and so on, Matt shows that he is just far better at expressing his creativity through his character work. Now don't get me wrong, Jeff has also played the likes of Brother Nero and Will-O-the-Wisp, but none of these characters ever reached the success that Matt has had with his multiple personalities. And furthermore, Matt's plethora of personas has no signs of stopping, because he doesn't appear to be running out of ideas anytime soon. In addition, let's also point out that Matt is a lot better at playing heel than his younger brother, with Jeff either being too likable or just not convincing as a bad guy. But speaking of which, story mode. If you ask me, I say that Matt has always had the better storylines and the better feuds whenever the two of them have gone solo. Jeff's most memorable stories were usually just remembered because they were uncomfortable at best. But on the other hand, whether it's the Matt Edge Lita love triangle, his cutting weight for the cruiserweight division, or his trippy rivalry with Bray Wyatt, Matt has a whole slew of plots that were wrestling gold. And yes, his breakup with Lita being put on screen may have been a little awkward for some. But even if we just remember the good times that the couple shared, then we should also bring up that Matt has served as a much better on-screen romantic lead than his baby brother. For example, remember Jeff and Trish Stratus? No, that's exactly my point. What I'm getting at here is that when it comes to Jeff, most of your memories tend to be moments, but with Matt on the other hand, they tend to be stories instead. Delete the Phenom! As hard as it might be for some of you to believe, Matt Hardy actually has not one, but 2 victories over The Undertaker, putting Matt on a very exclusive list of wrestlers who have beaten the Phenom in singles competition more than once. And you know one person who isn't part of that club? That's right, Jeff Hardy. Now to be clear, Jeff does have one win over Taker in 2008, but despite how many times they've gone one-on-one, that one time was it. And don't get me wrong, Matt and The Undertaker have faced each other more than just 2 times, with Taker definitely taking the W way more times than he's lost it to Matt. And might I also point out that these 2 wins of Matt predate Jeff's by about 6 years. Furthermore, even though version 1's Matt Fax claims that he held back-to-back victories over The Undertaker, if you go back, you'll notice that he actually does have one defeat at the hands of the Phenom in between those wins, which occurred on October 1st, 2000, but aired on the 3rd, and on September 10th, but aired on the 12th. And also, you'll no doubt realize that both of these triumphs came with the assistance of Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar, with Heyman going backstage confronting Sarah, who was Undertaker's pregnant wife at the time, causing the Underbiker to leave the ring and go to her aid, resulting in him losing by countout. Then on the October 1st match, which was a Falls Count Anywhere bout, Brock Lesnar interfered and took Undertaker out with an F5 on a pallet full of packing peanuts, which apparently must have really hurt as Matt was able to vulture in and scoop up a pin. So while this may not have been the most gripping of victories, it's still one more than Jeff ever accomplished. Switch your partner. Well, Jeff definitely is the more decorated of the two brothers, having won more gold across the multiple promotions that the brothers have worked for. Matt does hold one thing over Jeff in the belt department, and surprisingly, it has to do with tag team wrestling. What is it, you ask? Well, it's that Matt is the only one out of the two brothers to ever win tag team gold without the other one. All 21 of Jeff Hardy's tag team championships were all alongside his older sibling, where Matt, in contrast, has an additional 3 tag straps over his baby bro, one with the aforementioned Bray Wyatt, another with MVP, as well as once winning a tag title with a Venom, or Joey Abs, in the New Frontier Wrestling Association. Elite! Speaking of other promotions, as of this recording, Matt is the only one out of the two to ever wrestle for All Elite Wrestling. Now granted, I don't expect this to last very long, as I'm sure Jeff is bound to join him as soon as he possibly can. However, as of now, multifarious Matt is All Elite while Jeff is stuck in an awful feud with Sheamus. Now this is a bit of an about-face from the brothers' previous run in TNA, where it was actually Jeff who ventured out first in 2003, while Matt wouldn't debut in the company until all the way in 2011. But nevertheless, and for whatever it's worth, this is just one more thing, at least for now, that Matt has over his brother Jeff. Technicality. And finally, while Jeff has definitely put his body on the line in some of the most extraordinary ways in all of professional wrestling, that is mainly how most people think of him for the most part. Now, there may not be anything wrong with a spot fest per se, as they can be very entertaining. However, for fans of technical wrestling, Matt is easily the better of the two. But to be fair, I'm not trying to say that Jeff Hardy can't wrestle, because he definitely can, and on top of that, he even does have a bit of an amateur background as well. So calling him a mere spot monkey may not exactly be 100% accurate. Again, not necessarily saying that's a bad thing for everyone. However, on the reverse side of that, it should be mentioned that Matt has definitely taken his fair share of sick bumps as well. So all in all, I do say that's pretty close when it comes to them on all aspects. When it comes to the high-flying spot department, that definitely goes to Jeff on the whole. However, when it comes to mat work, no pun intended, that category definitely belongs to Matt Hardy, by a more significant margin. And as a technical wrestling fan myself, to me, that's a pretty big deal. Well, there you go, 7 things that Matt Hardy has over his brother Jeff. But what are some more that you can think of? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, as well as supporting me over on Patreon, just like these fine folks over here. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, Dave knows.